This is Karen with NewClevelandRadio.net, and it is time for Heart Mojo with Melinda Smith. And I don't know if you are all noticing, but Melinda is growing her podcast. And we are now definitely twice a month. We're even thinking about going to 3 times a month
We are.
because you've got people who have journeys.
I have a list of guests now. In the beginning, when you start out with your podcast, you're like, okay, who can I have on today? And with the COVID, it kind of actually dipped because there were so many podcasts out there, but now it's coming back around. So we may end up with some specials or a third one coming on.
Absolutely.
But today I am very excited to have a friend of mine that I met through networking group, Jeff Kanter, and we're going to tackle the challenge of insurance. I know it's a little different for me, everybody, to talk about insurance, but for me, it's something that I really don't know a lot about. And I think we all need to have a basic understanding so we know where we need to be and what kind of insurance we have. So Jeff, welcome. And tell us a little bit about you personally before we jump into your business.
Right. Well, first off, Melinda really wanted to make sure we did something really exciting on her show. So she said, what could that be? How about insurance? That's an exciting topic. We all love that. I can't wait to talk about that. But anyway, for me, it was more initially about helping people, because how do I help people and make money doing that? That's a good winner. So insurance was an area where you could really help. But like anything, once you get into an industry, you really start to learn it. And then you begin to discover the pitfalls and and I have to use insurance. I go to doctors too. So it's not like I could sell you Pintos and I buy a Rolls Royce. I have to use what I'm involved in too. So I really look at everybody in a very empathetic way. And that's where it became a chance to really evolve into a more sophisticated type of person in this industry. And that's really kind of where I'm at today.
Well, I know you've expanded. I have your bio. I pulled it up because I wanted a little more information on you. And you co-founded something called My Academy of Health Excellence, and then that launched Health Excellence Plus. Tell me about that.
Oh, that was an interesting phenomenon. One of the years when the Affordable Care Act came out, and it was a very lengthy bill, right? But there was a little section that said, this entire thing, as enormous as this is, does not apply to you if you're Amish, you're Native American. I was like, none of these fit me. So, okay. And I can see why those are separate. Okay. It made sense. But then it said, if you're a member of a Christian health share ministry.
Really?
I'm like, well, what's that? I've never even heard of that. I've been in this business 30 years. I never heard of such a thing. And lo and behold, I learned all about it and figured out that it's a very old school way of paying for medical bills. And it goes back 100+ years. And it never went away, but it just kind of wasn't really known. And I had a chance to bring it back into reality again. And so we really built that up in a big way into this very day where we ended up getting featured in Forbes as one of the most dramatic alternatives to health insurance.
Really?
So it's been a great way to help people. Again, how do you help people get what they want at a more affordable and an area where they're more in control? Because that was what began to happen with insurance. They went from just helping pay for some bills to controlling what got paid for and what didn't get paid for. Well, that's a whole new dynamic. And a lot of people didn't like, especially when the doctor says you need 2 treatments and the insurance says you only get 1.
Right.
This doesn't match up here, folks. And so that was kind of what drove me to get to that area. And that's been a huge growth area over time.
And so how is that different? Tell me just a little bit more in depth.
So it's not for everybody, because in insurance, in its early days, they had underwriting, which meant that when you went to buy it, they asked you questions about your health, and you either would get the insurance or not, right, or you'd get it and pay more. They might just charge you a little higher rate. But then they made a law that said you have to give everybody the insurance. Well, that pushed the prices up because you could be sure all the sick people couldn't wait to get it. And this healthy people said, this is expensive as all get out. I'm bailing out of this. I'm not even sick. But then the people left behind had to pay even more because the healthy people that were subsidizing the sick people all left.
Right.
But with the medical cost sharing, which is what they technically call it, it was originally labeled Christian Health Share Ministries because that's who largely was doing it. But over the years, it's evolved where it's become non-sectarian, so companies can do it now that have nothing to do with any religious background. But the idea is that we're sharing the expenses collectively as a group. So I tell them it's like going out to dinner. 12 of us go out to dinner and you order this and I order that. We all order something a little different, but the bill is a set number. We just divide it by 12. We don't try to figure, well, you had 2 drinks and you had one of these. We're a bunch of friends. We've agreed we're going to go eat dinner together and we'll split the bill equally. And that's really what this represents. They annually analyze how many bills they get, and then they figure out how much to charge everyone per month. The only differentials, you're a single person, a couple, or a family. But other than that, it's flat across the country, and it's very, very effective. And right now, we're allowed to do it all the way up to businesses that are up to 49 employees. So it's on the grow, and we soon see that it'll start to break into larger employers because it makes more sense and it puts the driver's seat, the patient, and the doctor, which is what it belongs to be. The insurance company should not be in the driver's seat. They're there just to pay the fare.
Well, they're ones that never go down, do they? They're never closing up their buildings and leaving. They're always growing in their buildings, for sure.
Just look at any of the major stock results. They're killing it.
Yeah. So that kind of group, are health issues an issue for getting involved? So like all my listeners, or most of my listeners, would know that I was a cancer survivor, and that's how Heart Mojo started. So does that change for me if I wanted to do something like that?
It may, and there's a little bit of an initial description of it. Let's just say you and I all decide that we want to start a homeowner's insurance company. And we get all these people that come and they're paying for their insurance. And then we have this one person says, I want to sign up today. Okay, great. And the price is X. Oh, by the way, my home is on fire right this minute.
Or flooded.
And I'm making a claim for $500,000 on my first payment of $125 here. So what medical cost sharing does is it screens that kind of client that's literally showing up with an incredible amount of problems and expenditures, because that would collapse the whole group right away. Mm-hmm. Most everybody is healthy, and some people ultimately become unhealthy, but that's not like on the first day. It's a year, 6 months, a couple years. They're helping contribute to the kitty, which is keeping the cost collectively very low. But if you bring in a bunch of people with a high bunch of bills, it throws the whole model off, which is exactly what happened with health insurance the minute they say, well, pre-existing conditions don't matter. Well, think about it in this respect. That's like saying, hey, look, I'm going to charge Melinda X amount for auto insurance. And I know Karen here, she's had 28 DUIs this year alone. I'm charging the exact same amount as Melinda. Does that even make sense to do that? So the reality is that if I'm talking about paying for medical costs, which is a fixed thing, forgetting about your health, it's just, think of it as an accounting thing. I got to have a balance in here, or else we're going to be all out of kilter. So we will prevent some people that are in a very severe situation. Now, others, let's say you had cancer and a number of years have gone by and I'm recovered. I'm in remission. It's never come back. Then we'll treat you like you're great. And there's a couple little carve outs, but for the most part, you just can't be really deathly sick this second.
When you come in.
We take diabetics, type 2, cancer survivors. I mean, an incredible amount of stuff that we're able to do. The other thing is that they're not typically big on smokers, though, because smokers definitely get health issues. So we'll take them. But the minute they turn 50, we restrict certain things we will not share in, which is like COPD. In other words, things that only smokers typically get. Mm-hmm. So we're basically telling you, look, either go somewhere else or maybe you ought to quit smoking.
Stop smoking.
Yeah.
So what happens if you get really sick? Like you're healthy, you join this group, and then you find out you have cancer? What happens then?
Awesome question. And that happens a lot. Well, I shouldn't say a lot, thankfully, but it happens.
But it happens.
Regardless of whatever I don't care how many millions of dollars it runs into, that person will be taken care of 100%. And all they will pay is whatever they selected when they joined up. So we have some options. You can pay like $1,000, $5,000, that type of thing, where you pick what normally is called a deductible. We call it an unshared amount because we're a group of people sharing your bill, but we don't share the first X amount of dollars.
Okay.
And there's no like co-pays or anything beyond that. There's only one out-of-pocket expenditure, which is the initial amount when something big happens. So in other words, if everything in this world people is a little different, if it's less than $1,000, you're going to be paying for it, With insurance, it might be less than $1,000 on your deductible, but you go to the doctor visit and it's only a $25 copay.
Right.
Let's say the doctor visit's $150. With us, you'll pay the $150. But again, here's the other difference. The monthly amount you pay in to keep this program in place is 50% of what you pay for a typical insurance product. So I think you can afford the $150 visit once in a while when we're saving you $500 a month. That type of thing. So, but then when you do get in there, let's say that you had that cancer as a perfect example. Let's say it took 3 years to recover between all the treatments and the therapies and every other kind of thing. In a normal insurance world, if you had $1,000 deductible, you'd end up paying $3,000 because every year your deductible would reset. Right. But in this situation, because it's one incident, even though it was multiple years, but it was still one thing, you only had to pay that $1,000 the first time around. That was it. You never had to pay any money ever again the rest of the time until you recover.
I see. So when somebody comes to you, how you've got all these different plans, right? Because you don't represent just one thing, you have other things too.
Right.
How do you decide what works best for somebody?
Well,
that's a challenge for me looking at the whole picture.
Yeah, well, that's where you can kind of assess the type of person that you're talking to, because the first question is, what are you doing? Because if the person says, look, I'm healthy as horse, I never go to the doctor ever. Oh, that changes my whole approach. But if they say, I got this, that, whatever, I'm going to have this into the future and this and that, or whatever, then that changes the dynamic then too. And if, let's say that we figure out that they got to have insurance, there's no way they can go that other way. It just won't work. Now we have to figure out, well, and this is the sad reality, because with the medical cost sharing, you can go any doctor, any hospital, anywhere. And the rates are the same nationwide. So if I live in Cleveland, but I want to go to a doctor elsewhere, it didn't matter. And if I live in this city or this city, my price is the same. And in insurance, if you're in this county or that county, even within the same state, the price might vary. So we got to figure out where they then live. And then we got to figure out what, and this is the other sad reality, because with the medical cost sharing, you go to any doctor that you want. But with insurance, they usually have a network. The little network is called an HMO, Health Maintenance Organization. That's like the little list of doctors. Then the bigger list of doctors is the PPO, which is a preferred provider organization. But even that has a limitation to it. And there's different ones of those. Well, one company might subscribe to this PPO network, and this one might have that one. So if you tell me, look, I got this cancer and I got to go to this doctor and they're at hospital A, well, I can't even show you this other plan because they only accept hospital B. Now, the sad thing could be that plan A costs a lot more money, but again, you want to go to that doctor.
Right.
Then we had that conversation. Here are the differences in price. Are you willing to go to a different doctor so they can bring you to a lower cost product?
Or you have multiple doctors with children and a husband and a wife, because the kids go to their pediatrician. Maybe you want to stay in that group, but your doctor is a different group. So
it really gets crazy for sure. And sometimes, unfortunately, the patient is obligated to make a consolidation. Because you can't have two insurance plans. You can only have one. And you got to compromise. Hey, I got to get a new pediatrician because I got cancer, so I got to go to this doctor. There's no question about it. The kids are all healthy. I'm going to find a doctor that takes this insurance.
I distinctly remember a time, though, where you had insurance and you could actually go to, like in our case, we're in Cleveland, in case we have listeners out of state, and we have Cleveland Clinic and we have University Hospital and we have Metro. And my insurance up until a few years ago, I could go to any hospital I wanted to go to, as long as they would be somewhere in the plan. So I could go to Cleveland Clinic and I could go to University Hospital. That's not true anymore.
No, the bulk of that predates the Affordable Care Act, because the way that act was written, plus the unintended consequences of it, forced the change. Like when you mentioned those three, Metro got bought out in the interim. So they're not an independent option anymore. Now they're a part of one of the other two. So, but then what ended up happening is that, and I'm not totally sure why this part of it occurred, but let's say it was Blue Cross Blue Shield, just to name a brand that most people know. They would let you go to both. Then at that one point, it reached a point where they said, no. Somehow they got forced, or there was a special arrangement made, but they said, look, if you buy us, you can only go to the Cleveland Clinic. You could not go to university hospitals. And then the opposing, which was Medical Mutual of Ohio, said, okay, well, then if you would join us, you can go to UH. And that's kind of how they divvied up the market. where each got a crack at the consumers, because both of those are big hospital operations. And if you figure they're each getting about, one's getting like 60% of the business and the other's getting, the other balance of 40%. Hey, it was worth getting in bed with one or the other. But now you, unfortunately, as a consumer, got to pick a lane and get in it.
Right.
And
Cleveland Clinic has their own health coverage.
And little by little, your option to choose went away, which is what spawned what we've been doing more recently, because a lot of people said that I've had it. I need
Right.
a way. An opportunity came up.
Yeah, it was frustrating for me because I had half my doctors at Cleveland Clinic, half my doctors at University Hospital. And then I ended up at University. I followed the surgeon who left Cleveland Clinic and went there thinking, okay, well, I'll go to the surgeon, but I'm still going to keep everything else. Didn't happen that way.
Well, and right now, we just got a letter from Cleveland Clinic telling us that our insurance probably will not be accepted in January. So we're with United Health and they're thinking about dropping it. And it's like, so do I leave my doctors now or do I wait and see what happens? And
It's crazy because United Health's pretty large.
absolutely.
company.
So, but United Health Medicare, they are thinking about dropping it. And so we're in that flurry of what do we do now?
That and the whole Medicare thing is a whole different situation because they have different reimbursement rates. So some
Right.
hospitals figure out, look, we got way too many seniors on the books, and Medicare reimburses much lower than normal health insurance. So we're going to limit or kind of get rid of as many seniors as we can because we can't keep affording that many, or we have to raise all of our costs. So it's very frustrating, and that's the stuff that consumers don't understand why these things happen to them. But they're totally business decisions. They have nothing else to do with anything else whatsoever.
Yeah, the hospitals are no longer about caring, they're about business and the bottom line. It feels that way anyway, doesn't it?
Well, it does in that when you figure out that in certain instances, they only let you meet with the doctor for 15 minutes. And then
Right.
you bring up an alternate topic and they say, we have to make a different appointment.
Yeah.
In the old days, you went to the doctor and you told them about 10 different things that were happening.
Right.
He would sit there with you for 40 minutes and listen to all of that and actually care and try to figure out what to do with all of it. But when and really what's very difficult, one of the doctors that had been a retired person, they reached a point where they couldn't afford their practice anymore. Malpractice, office staff, the whole thing kind of hurt. So the clinic came knocking on their door and said, look, we'll buy you out. Now you only have to work 9 to 5, punch in, punch out. We get all this money. Don't have to worry about booking your appointment. You have to do anything anymore. But they had them on that 15-minute regimen and they started getting written up and berated and they finally quit. And they said, it was horrible because I was really not trying to help people. I was just literally trying to figure out what test I could order for them, what MRI I could order. It was just like the guy said, I felt like the greeter at Walmart.
Yeah, I can believe it.
And the
MRIs are down aisle 4. Hey, you need an injection down over here. And they got paid to channel people.
The problem is a lot of medical conditions are complicated. And there are beginning symptoms that come up. And if you're not paying attention to those, you're missing the bigger picture. And the bigger picture costs more money in the long run. Sometimes you can start things early and you can, stop them right there. Otherwise, you wait and the cancer's now stage 3 and there's more involvement or whatever the case may be. I just picked cancer, but can be in a lot of other instances. And that's the sad part of this.
Hey, to bring it into today's world, just not to try to get into a weird spot, but, there are things that people have done for coronaviruses for an extremely long time.
Mm-hmm.
And they've been very effective. But lo and behold, suddenly there was a lot more money in these newer developed techniques and vaccines and the like. Well, they started to discredit the stuff that's been working for years. Why? Because there's no money in things that the patents have run out on a long time ago. There's no money in a $20 treatment as opposed to a $2,000 treatment. And
Right.
so that's the other sad reality of medicine is it's oftentimes driven by what's a more profitable treatment. And one doctor jokingly said, look, our goal is not to cure you. It's just to micromanage your demise.
Well, I know with the cancer treatments, each treatment was like $60,000.
Yeah, and
$60,000.
well, some of it's inflated for sure between it's like some jewelry. We've marked it up pretty dramatically. But even still, even if it's half that price, it's still expensive. But their goal is well, how long can we extend that life of that person before the insurance runs out?
Mhm.
They're not about like, like in China is a good example. Chinese medicine, you pay the doctor every day until you get sick, and then you don't pay him. Well, guess what? They want to get paid, so they come over and they work on you all day, every day till they get you healthy again, because they want you to start paying them again. Here we pay doctors until we get sick, so they like when you're sick all the time because they're getting paid.
Right.
So the whole incentive is so perverse, and they do care on the underlying level, but they're in a system that's designed around capitalizing and maximizing payments on your services, and they got you because it's your health. You can walk.
Right.
Oh, I won't do the shocks on the car. The heck with that. That guy wants way too much money to do the shocks. I'll skip it. You can't skip doing a heart treatment.
No.
So they've got you in a corner where you'll pay whatever it costs. And if you look at it, the way that the Affordable Care Act is structured, it's designed for them to raise prices. It's not designed to lower costs. It's designed to raise them.
Well, you and I had this conversation that when I started on the healthcare.gov, it was like $500 a month for me and both my children. As of this past year, it was $900 and change, almost $1,000 for myself and my son. And the deductible was no longer $1,500 or $2,000 a year. No, it was $14,000 a year. And so that's the problem with the healthcare industry and with insurances, is how do you find that balance where you find something to help you pay those extra charges. So one of the things you and I talked about, and what had me bring you on, was this program that's relatively new. So can you tell us a little bit about that? So that helps take care of the extra costs or things that aren't covered by insurance.
Yeah, because until some of these other things settle down and we fix like healthcare, let's say, between all those other things we just discussed, what am I going to do now?
Mm-hmm.
I can't wait for that to occur. What am I going to do today?
Right.
So, realistically, about 5 years ago, an operation loved the idea of the health savings account. And for those that don't really know, a health savings account is kind of like an IRA. You get to put money in it and you write it off on your taxes. The difference is you're only allowed to spend it on medical things. So the downside, though, was that I had to have a special kind of insurance to qualify to get this special account, which was great for the people that bought that, but only a small percentage of people bought it. Well, what about everybody else? So like anything, whenever there's opportunity, somebody's going to figure out how to fill it. And so this company came up with the idea of creating this thing called the health matching account. And basically what they did was they mimicked the math of the medical cost sharing communities and said, but you know what? No one's developing money for people before they end up in the hospital. All these other things are developing for, hey, you've got a broken leg, you had a heart attack, whatever. Here's a way to pay for that. But wait a minute, I have like dental issues and I just got a cold. I got all kinds of daily nickel and dime things. No one's helping me make money for those purposes. And that's where this company came to the fore. So what they were able to do is they patented a process. It's approved in all 50 states. So it's been very well vetted by all the insurance departments, featured in Forbes magazine. In fact, one of the guys that writes about it all the time was the fellow that was called the godfather of health savings accounts. So he's been praising it on high. And basically what it does is it has basically two flavors. I'm an employer with employees, or I'm a person buying it for myself. If I'm a person buying it for myself, I put in $1 in after-tax money and it's delivered to me in a Visa card. And then at that point, I get $2 that come back out for me to spend on medical bills. So effectively, if I go to the dentist and say, look, I don't have dental insurance, I'm going to pay cash for a cleaning, and they say it's $200, that means that it costs me $100 because I was able to get it at 50 cents on the dollar. If I'm an employer with at least 5 employees and I'm funding it for my employees, like I'm funding their flex account or their health savings account or whatever I might give them monies, I write it off as a write-off for my business. So it kind of works two ways. But what's nice about it is it accumulates over time. So it's not like you're getting $2 for every $1 on the very first day. It takes a couple of years to kind of build up to a point where there's enough funds in there that I could really want to start to use it aggressively. Now, I can use it immediately if something emergency happens, so it's not like the money's tied up. But I want to wait for it to get bigger in size and more dollars. And so it has a crediting process, and we can get more into that at a future time, or if you want to follow up, we'll talk about it. But effectively, it gives you that opportunity to pay for a very broad array of stuff. So you'll pay for your deductibles, co-pays, dental, vision, fertility treatments, things like LASIK, which are not paid for by any kind of insurance. So it lets you pay for far more, most of the things you really will be doing. Because I tell people, you know what, insurance is for the what if of the world, but then what are you doing to take care of the what I will be doing for sure?
Mhm. You know, you're going to the dentist, you know, you're going to the eye doctor, and you know, you may have prescriptions, and this can help with all of that, right?
Yeah, I wear glasses. I'm not wearing them right at the moment, but I wear glasses. I need to get an eye exam. I need to buy frames. Well, there's no way to help me on any of that. And if most people have been accustomed to, like, say, dental insurance, it's not like health insurance where I pay a little bit and I get a $1 million procedure. I go in there and I got to wait 12 months before they'll do a crown, and I get one free cleaning, and it's not a good arrangement. Here it's much cleaner. I walk in the dentist, say, look, which they prefer. I'm paying cash. Hooray. And so then they'll give you a great price. And now I'm paying 50 cents on the dollar for that particular price. So it's a great way to help.
So we, in this group where I met you, we have financial people in there. How have they felt about it when you talked about this?
Well, they like it in that it actually has something to represent, because realistically, I don't want to get down a different topic today, but in the old days, you used to get like 17% on a CD. Now you don't even get like 0.5%. So there's nothing to save money. You have to gamble. I got to buy a stock or something that could go like, I'm hoping it's going up, but it's really a gamble. There's no guaranteed return. Guarantee is like a bond. But bond rates are very low. Well, if inflation is running at 3 to 5% and my bonds pay me 1.5, I'm losing money on my investment. So just by giving you this kind of a guaranteed return on those dollars, as it were, to give you that crediting that you're going to definitely guarantee, because it is guaranteed you're going to get there. But again, it's like a life insurance. They guarantee you're going to $1 million when you die. They're not going to like chisel on that. You're going to get the $1 million, but you have to pay a certain amount every month. And then when you die, you're going to get it. Same thing with this. They have a bunch of different flavors of dollar amounts. You pick the one that fits your situation,
your budget,
the amount of money. I need $10,000. I need $5,000. I need $15,000. You pick what you need, worst case scenario, and then a little bit each month you'll pay. And again, you can use it right away. But like anything, there's only a little at the beginning. There's a lot more. There's a lot more. Then there's a lot. And finally, there's like 2 for 1.
It's like any investment. I mean, if you buy an IRA, you have to leave it sit while it builds.
Right.
And so it isn't, but you can pull it out if you need to.
Yeah, if there's an emergency, which is great, because like it's certain things like a CD, you can't cash that out early. You got to pay a fine. So this, you don't have any penalties to take the money early. You just didn't get the growth that you were looking for.
Right.
But that's okay. That was your choice and it was an emergency. But here's where it really comes into handy. Let's say I know, as a perfect example, that my kids are going to need braces in 2 years. All right. Well, why do I want to spend 10 grand for the braces when I could spend 5 grand? So I'm going to start it today. I'm going to build the thing until at the point where I'm ready to get the braces, and suddenly I know what I'm doing. And what's nice about it is it fills itself back in. So it's not like it's a one-shot deal. I build it up to say 10,000 and I spend 3 grand. I'm keep paying each month. And before you know, it's back up to 10 grand again.
Right.
So I'm getting a continually ability to get more leverage out of every dollar I've got. And in today's world, you need to leverage every dollar you make.
Right. Right.
In the grocery stores and gas prices, you need every dollar to go as far as you can make it go.
It reminds me of what you can do for kids in Ohio for schools. You can put money in, you get a higher rate on there, and then you pull that money out to pay for school, and you can only use it to pay for school. So it's kind of similar in that respect, that except this is more readily available, but you only use it for what it's supposed to be used for, which is some form of a medical expense, whether it's eye, dental.
When you look like a normal, like say a dental insurance situation, once you sort of use it, you're kind of done. You got to wait a long time to be able to utilize it again. And it's only for that singular purpose. I hear I buy dental insurance. What if nothing happens with my teeth, but my eyes get all messed up? So here I can direct the money any which way I need it to go. And the fact that I'm getting far greater dollars without having to kind of wait for it to reset.
Right.
So it puts you far more in control of your own money, big time.
When the average person is listening to this, okay, it sounds like, well, I don't have a lot of extra money. Okay. I barely make it paycheck to paycheck. I understand what you're saying. I should put money away to save for when I need it, but I need money now. Okay. So how do you explain this to the average family that is struggling in today's, because they understand insurance because it's just been taught to us. You pay X amount and this is your deductible and this is your copay, and live with it.
There's kind of two ways to look at that. One, if I can first come in there and help them save a bunch of money, then we've found the money. Because let's say we want to do one of these that costs like $100 a month, but I end up figuring out how to save you $300 a month. Well, this is awesome because you're going to pay 100 into this and you got 200 left over. So you're way ahead. But let's say we can't. Let's say you're in the best thing that you've got right now. Well, then it kind of comes down to, are you spending money? Let's say you've got this plan like Melinda was talking about with a $14,000
Right.
deduction.
Right.
Last year, did you spend any money? Oh gosh, I spent $5,000.
Right.
If they said, no, I never get sick, I don't spend any money and I'm broke, well, then maybe they can't do this as good as it may be. Because again, the goal is to help the person, but I can't like force them to go.
Make money either for them.
Yeah, I mean, you can't get blood out of a stone. But if they say, look, yeah, we spent about $2,500 or $2,000 last year. Okay, well, there's a plan as little as $40 a month. So that way, when they need to spend $10,000, they've only had to put $2,000. They only had to put $1,000 away.
Got it.
I think too, to put it in everyday expenses, and this is something, it's just budgeting. I mean, it doesn't have to be for insurance. It could be true for anything.
Sure.
But if you buy one cup of coffee at $5, because most Starbucks coffees are going to cost you $5, right? If you do that 7 days a week, a lot of people do 5 to 7 days a week, you're spending $140 a month just on coffee. Imagine if you put that into this type of program where you would be in a couple of years, right? So I know that would be true for anything. You could pay off other debts, but I think for the average, I don't know how many older individuals spend that much on coffee every day, but I know a lot of younger people do.
One other way to look at it too is, if you suddenly had a medical bill of $3,000, how would you pay that? No one is equipped to do that. But if I'm putting $40 a month away and a $3,000 bill shows up, I'm like, okay, whatever, here's my card. It's like the old school, not people even remember this, but they used to have Christmas accounts at the bank.
Yep.
Right.
And every
Maybe the stamps too.
take a little money out of your paycheck. So when Christmas came around, I had money to buy gifts. And that went away. Now everybody just puts on their credit card. Now they're paying for like 2 years at 18.9% interest on those cards, where I actually got paid interest on my Christmas account to put money away. So this is a lot like that mentality where it gives you the discipline to have a little bit of cash set aside, because who doesn't have any kind of medical expense typically?
Right.
Especially within a several year window. I'm going to get my teeth cleaned at the very least. So it gives you a chance to budget in a very economical way. So you don't have to go in a panic mode when suddenly a medical bill crops up.
I love that.
And you can start low and you can add, and you can change it too, right? So you could start, okay, I want to give it a try. Maybe I don't have the money right now, but you can change it, right?
It's not even, I love it, but you know what? I'm single. Now suddenly I got married and we just had a kid. Well, that little program I had for me is insufficient. So I can just literally go in my back office, because you have like a back office, like any log into your credit card account or your bank account. And there's a little button in there. It says, I need to get a bigger version of this. And you just pick whichever one matches, because the numbers are based on what it has in the end. So if I want to have $5,000 available to me, I want to have 10,000. I pick the amount of money I want, and then it adjusts the monthly amount it costs me to get there. And again, if I say I'm going to be at 10,000, well, I've actually put in 4,590 or something like that. It's actually less than $5,000 that I end up putting in to get 10,000 on my Visa card. So you control it all the way. And I can even go down. Let's say I overestimated. Okay, you contact the company, they'll bring it down to a lower level.
So have you seen before, because we're getting close to closing up here, time goes, I never thought I'd be that interested in insurance, right? It just sort of flew by.
At the beginning.
Have you had younger people, instead of getting health coverage, because I already told you I was paying $500 a month and then $900 and some dollars a month. Have you seen younger people say, it's just me, I'm young, I'm relatively healthy, I'm not having insurance, I'm just going to put $200 or $300 per month away for this?
You actually have seen that, not only just in young people, but very typically there. And not so much older days when insurance was underwritten, which meant that if you had bad health, you couldn't get it. Prices were pretty low if you were young.
Mm-hmm.
But since they take all comers, even when you're young now, suddenly it's expensive.
Mm-hmm.
And a young person says, Jesus, see, I can make a car payment and have a killer car like a Corvette. or I got this Blue Cross. I don't want that. So they would have nothing.
Mhm.
So now they've got this where they say, look, I go to the doctor once in a while. I never get sick, but it would be great to have $5,000 sitting around for whenever I need to get my teeth cleaned, whatever may come up. And
Right.
so it's not an odd thing to see young people take this in lieu of insurance. And again, since they'll take all comers, which is the bad thing about this too, I can literally wait till the day I'm sicker than a dog and then I sign up for insurance.
Right. That's what I was thinking too.
Well, homeowners don't want everyone with their home burning down signing up.
Right.
They
Right.
want everybody whose home is not burning down to sign up to take care of the once in a while when they do. But when the insurance said, look, we'll take no matter what, people say, well, I'm not going to pay anything until the minute I got to have it. And then the day I have it, I start paying and I'm making claims on the first day.
Right. You can't do that with a car. If you've already had the accident, you can't go, oh, wait, let me go back and get car insurance
Yeah.
to fix the problem.
Only health insurance. And the way they got around this is because, see, it's about your health. Well, you can make that, well, it's about your car. Who cares about a car? It's a piece of metal.
Right.
No. Yeah, but guess what? A doctor is a business like any other business.
Hmm.
And somehow we've construed it like I have a right to healthcare. Wait a minute, that means that that person is basically my indentured slave, that doctor over there who went to school to start this medical business, but I have a right to their hours and their time. That's not realistic. It's a privilege to get healthcare, and you're privileged to have that doctor take care of you. And I pay them for their service dearly. They don't want to charge me a lot. That's the problem. They don't want to charge a lot. They want to charge a reasonable amount to help you. They're forced to charge a lot because that's how insurance and hospitals
Right.
are.
Right.
That's just a little cog now in this mechanism.
Right.
And so that's getting back to what we talked about initially. But again, what am I going to do for today?
Right. Right. Well, so what's your last piece of advice? First of all, I want you to let people know how they can contact you if they have more questions, more things, and we'll make sure we put it in the notes. And then your last piece of advice for this insurance challenge that we all face.
Well, the reality is you're obligated to work with someone local to you, just the way insurance is. You know, if you live in Colorado, you can't talk to somebody in Michigan. You have to talk to a Colorado-based person. So you really need to find out somebody who's more interested in constructing a plan unique to you than just to figure out how to shoehorn you into something. So with that little bit of advice, I would say you need to see someone independent. Because I told everybody, if I work for ABC company exclusively, guess what you need? ABC insurance. But if I work for like 28 different companies, which means I'm going to get paid no matter what you do, which I want to get paid. But this way I can give you what's best for you because I'm going to get paid no matter what. But now I get to work for you for a change. So you really need to find someone that's independent and that's caring. And I would tell you to try to get referrals or find other people that recommend somebody that's of that ilk. Because again, we all sell the same products. It's how we build it around you that's different.
And this HMA product it's in all 50 states. If somebody listening to this is out of state, they're really interested about that. Can they call you?
Yes, this is one product that we can work on a national basis with. It's only with normal health insurance. I can actually work with somebody nationwide on the medical cost sharing program too, because we sell in all 50 states. But only with insurance are you restricted to the person local to you. But yes, and everything else, I'd love to talk to somebody and either help them myself or just redirect them or give them some advice on people that they're working with already.
That'd be great. So how do they reach you?
You can call me. It's Jeff Kanter. You can call me at 440-283-6849, or you can email me at my first initial and last name, JKanter, Kanter, at yourfreedomhub.com, and yours, YOUR. So JKanter at yourfreedomhub.com.
Awesome. Well,
Wonderful.
I never thought insurance would be this interesting. What about you, Karen?
Well, it is interesting. And one of the things I just learned was, I didn't think that I could put money away for some of the extras, because when you're on Medicare, they make you believe that you have to use Medicare for everything.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a good subject for all of us, putting a little bit away each week or each month can give you peace of mind.
And it doesn't matter if you're a senior on Medicare or a young person just coming out and starting in the world.
And frankly, a lot of, the highest usage people are like 40 plus families with kids. obviously. And definitely seniors, not all seniors, but some seniors, they have a fair amount of medical expenses. And even if you have a Medicare Advantage plan or a supplement, there's a lot of stuff you still have to pay for no matter what.
Absolutely.
That's true.
Absolutely.
It's not going to get cheaper as you get older. It only becomes more acute.
Right.
Yes, it does.
Well, I guess we're going to have to sign me up.
For being a senior or for the program?
Oh, thank you so much for being on the program today. I really
Absolutely.
appreciate it.
Thank you both.
And we will continue to pursue these very interesting topics. So thanks so much.
Everybody have a great day
Have a
and
great
stay
day.
healthy.
Stay healthy. Bye.
That's the real secret, right?
Right.
We don't need
Bye-bye.
any of these things.
No.